We have a wonderful group of students from Israel, Palestine, and is it Chicago or is it all over the U.S.? All over the U.S. So we have a group, it's called Hands of Peace, and it's truly a remarkable organization, and we are so proud to welcome them here. Yes, give it. These are some great. And they are working hard and dialoguing with each other about all the issues of the day. And many of our congregants have been involved with Hands of Peace for years and years. So we're truly blessed to welcome them here tonight. And we're going to be hearing from 3 of them later this evening. But we are going to begin with the singing of Hine Matov. How beautiful, how wonderful it is to be together. Hine Matov.
Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
Yeah, we'll get the pages. That one is just the opening. We are going to light the Shabbat candles, and the blessings are on page 2. This symbolizes the presence of God in our midst. It symbolizes the beauty and warmth of Shabbat, the joy we have being together. Page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We'll continue with a song called Lecha Dodi, a song welcoming Shabbat. Lecha Dodi. It's on pages 20 and 21.
Lecha lecha dodi, lika lika chala, penei penei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha lecha dodi, lika lika chala, penei penei Shabbat nekabala. Shamor bezachor bedibur echad, yishmianu el hamelucha Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem el titeres v'hiti lavu 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 chad
reason we stand and then face towards the back is it's actually a way of welcoming. We imagine that Shabbat is a bride walking into our sanctuary, and we welcome her into our sanctuary. So that's the custom of rising. And we'll stay standing as we turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, page 28. The Shema is the most important prayer in Judaism. It proclaims the oneness of God and the oneness of our universe. And together, if you'd like to join me, we turn to pages 34 and 35 as we sing the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated as we continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך לטעות לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Our next prayer is one that is said at all Jewish worship services. It's the Micha Mocha, the Song of Freedom, and it commemorates the time when God split the Red Sea and brought the Israelites from slavery to freedom. And it's about the journey that all of us, every people, every nation, we go on from slavery to freedom. Micha Mocha, page 40.
Yai lai lai.
continue now with a prayer known as the Amidah. This is also called the standing prayer, where we stand up and turn to page 46 as we join together. Page 46.
Adonai sefatita upia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor, HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Ha'adol, Bezocher Ratzei Yavot Imachot, Umevi Geulah Livnei Pneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Moshiach, Morid Atah, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Mishenei Achar, Michamocha Bal Geburot, Umidom Elav, Melech Memid Umechayeh, Umatzliach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot ha'ol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh ha'ol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalu v'salah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh.
You may be seated. There's one of the beautiful things about Hands of Peace is it has that word peace, shalom, salam in it. And in Judaism, we pray for peace constantly. You know, on Shabbat, you're not supposed to ask for things. You're not supposed to ask for food or anything, health, knowledge. Don't ask for anything. We have everything we need on Shabbat, except for one exception. We ask for shalom, for peace. Peace, not just the absence of conflict, but a sense of wholeness and purpose and connection and friendship and all the things that our students are gathered here for. So Shalom Rav, abundant peace, page 60.
Shalom Rav, Kol Yisrael Ata, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Kol Yisrael Ata, Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech Adon, Lecho HaShalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon, Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Ata, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Ata, Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
Now I invite you to close your eyes, take a few moments for silent prayer, and reflection and meditation, and then we'll come back together for another prayer for peace.
Say shalom Hallelujah, say shalom Aleinu, Be'avo Yisrael, Be'imru, Amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom Aleinu, Be'avo Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom Aleinu, Be'avo Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom Aleinu, Be'avo Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom Aleinu, Be'avo Yisrael.
There's also a custom in Reform synagogues to say a prayer for healing, Misha Berach, where we think about all of our friends and family, people in our community who may be sick physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and we ask for their healing, for a refuah shlema. And if there's somebody you are thinking of right now, could be a friend, family member, somebody back home, and you'd like to share their name before we sing the Misha Berach, please feel free to do so. We also think of Ruth Abato, Ruvain Avraham ben Mordechai Ve'eda, Marty Aronson, Benjamin Chaim ben Sarah Leah, Lori Contour, Andrea Cooper Finkel, Michael Dalbora, Shlomo David Levine Ben Chava, Don Goldstein, Joanne Goodman, Stork Goodman, Jim Graham, David Greenberg, Julian Horowitz, Floyd Keane, Ronna Kramer, Marilyn Loesch, Michael Mahler, Barry Merrim, Jaleesa Matthews, Leah Moskoff, Enrique Neufeld, Noach Ben David, Linda Merrim, James O'Neill, Pesach Ben Abraham, Rahel Yisrael Bat Chaim, Tony Rhodes, Bill Rosen, Judy Rosenberg, Roberta Rosenfeld, Marty Rudell, Matt Sokolov, Marlene Sampson, Maddie Schubert, Yehuda Sarada, Lois Shapiro, Michelle Slutsky, Sarah Batsheva, Deborah Sen, Jeff Slowick, Andrea Steinberger, Yocheved Chaya, and all of our friends healing from the shooting in our community. And thinking of all of them, we sing the words of the Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, page 253.
Help us find the courage to make
Well, as I said earlier, we are so happy to have Hands of Peace with us. And this is not the first time, as Wendy in the back there knows. Wendy was chair of the board of Hands of Peace many years ago, and we had a group here, what was it, 10 years ago? And wow. And so you guys were probably in elementary school back then. And now we are so happy to welcome you here. And there are 3 speakers from this community, and I can tell you I am so excited to hear our 3 speakers. And just make sure all of you talking to the mic and introduce yourselves so that we all know. Come on up. This is the one that's working.
Salam, shalom, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hanin Jarrad. I'm 17 years old and I'm also Palestinian. I come to you bearing a message of peace and love from my Palestinian people who have been rooted deeply in their land for thousands of years, devoted to it as their homeland, despite all the pain and suffering. I come to you bearing the hopes of peace and love of my 60-year-old father and my 55-year-old mother. Neither my parents nor my 4 sisters or 2 brothers know what it means to move freely between Palestinian cities, or what it means to visit Al-Aqsa Holy Mosque in Jerusalem, which is only 100 kilometers away, without taking months and months of preparation for a permit and checkpoints to pass. My parents and siblings have always been resentful and frustrated with the conflict. How could they not be, I thought, while I was in my first traveling experience abroad? All my excitement turned to disappointment while we were crossing border after border, checkpoint after checkpoint, and stamping passports at the Israeli and Jordanian borders, also the Palestinian. It was only then that I understood how difficult life is for Palestinians, and why my elder sister, who's doing her PhD, hated to travel so much, and why my 26-year-old brother, who works as a doctor at a prominent medical institution, wanted to immigrate and start a new life in Germany. It was only then that I realized how difficult it is for my sister, who lives in Saudi Arabia, to come back home to visit with her 3 kids. After this experience, I never thought that I would sit in the same room with an Israeli, or nonetheless see them as humans. I only saw them as these gun-holding monsters who were programmed to make the life of Palestinians as miserable as possible. This image hovered in my brain up until I joined the Hands of Peace program. I joined the program because of the constant urging of my brother Mohammed, who participated in a similar program a few years back. Mohammed was adamant on changing my perspective about the conflict. It is never black and white, Hanin, he said. You must not make judgments on all the Israelis based on the experiences we have gone through. Go ahead, register for the program, and make your own experiences. Muhammad's words were food for my thought, and I eventually decided, after several phone calls with Hamza and Jinan, the Hands of Peace staff, and many questions, to sign up for the program. When the day of the flight came, I couldn't sleep. I had so many concerns. Will I like the program? Will I like the United States and its people? Will I like my hosts? More importantly, will they like me? After a whole day of travel and a week of jet lag, I started getting answers to all my questions. The program indeed helped me to rehumanize the Israelis. From the very first day, in the very first icebreaker, they were humans. They laughed, they talked, they had hopes and dreams. The United States have been everything I imagined and beyond. I have been blessed with Midwestern hospitality and urban adventure. I have been amazed by the iconic skyscrapers, museums, and beaches. On the contrary of my expectations, I really love the American lifestyle, American food and culture. and I was amazed by how friendly Americans are. So thank you, Chicago, and God bless the United States. The blessings of this visit were taught by having Tarek, Anisha, and Amani as hosts. Tarek, Anisha, and Amani became literally family. Therefore, I would like to seize this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for your hospitality, for the time you took to know me, and for opening up to me like you did. I will never be able to forget you and all of the things we have shared together and learned about each other. I hope we will stay in touch and that we will get the opportunity to return soon. Thank you very much, Makoum Solen Lakeside, for hosting us in this beautiful synagogue. And special thanks to all of the guests in this blessed congregation.
Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. My name is Aliyah. Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. My name is Aliyah and I live in Jerusalem. My family is Reform and belongs to the Reform Movement Koran Shana congregation. In recent years, the way in which I chose to practice my religious is changing and growing distance from the Reform way in which I was received. But Reform values and ideas still stay with me and continue to be a part of who I am. The Reform denomination in Israel are smaller than the other denominations and is identified with helping weak groups in society and standing up for social justice, equality, and peace. When I looked at your website, I saw that you two have similar values. I always grew up with feeling that there will be a peace, that it has to come. Yael, my aunt, my mom's younger sister, was murdered in a terror attack when she was 22 by suicide bomber during the Second Intifada, when she was waiting in a bus stop near her army base. 8 more young people were murdered there, and 18 more injured. Soon after Yael's death, my mother and my grandfather joined the Israeli-Palestinian Bereaved Families Forum, also known as Parent Circle, an organization which consists of Israeli and Palestinian who lost a close family member in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Are many bereaved families in Israel. In many bereaved families in Israel, the loss leads to shaking revenge, without acknowledging that revenge always brings more pain and more loss, or sometimes just waiting to cause pain to the other side. Other families are consumed by sadness and desperation. Contrary to that, my family succeeded in dealing with the elder in an inspiring way that I'm not sure I would be able to adopt if I was in their place. They were able to divert part of their pain and grief to positive roots, like turning to promote peace and avoid future death on both sides of the conflict. For me, joining Hands of Peace is continuing their way as well as turning to build and find my own opinions. My religious transformation is a big part of this new opportunity. Most Jewish living in Israel never get a chance to meet Palestinians, and definitely not talk to them like we do here, and hear their side of the story about Israel and the conflict. From all our activities in Hands of Peace, I felt our dialogue meetings, which are the heart and soul of our activities, are most important and significant. In this meeting, for the first time in my life, I get to hear the opinions of Palestinian young people who totally contradict the mainstream Israeli narrative. I hope and feel that even if my opinions won't change completely after the program, I will be able to build a stronger foundation for them. Not through ignoring or fighting other narratives that contradict the mainstream Israeli one, but through having a deep knowledge about the side involved in conflict, and building my opinions and narratives through acknowledging their complexity and the tension between them. I hope that we will all be able to contain multiple narratives, even contrary ones, without losing our personal or social identity. I want to thank the Macomb Solar Lakeside congregation, the Cole family who is hosting me so generously through the program, and all hands of peace staff and the participants. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Izzy Randazzo, and I am from Park Ridge, Illinois. I am half Italian and half Palestinian. My mother studies Kabbalah and my father is Catholic, so I come from a diverse background. I have a brother who is 26 who participated in Hands of Peace in 2012. Seeing my brother's experience at a young age did not resonate with me at the time, but as I grew up, I asked my brother about his experience and why he did the Hands of Peace program. My mother, a second-generation Palestinian American, has continued to teach me about my Palestinian roots since the time we traveled to Israel/Palestine in 2013. While there, we had a phenomenal time. We visited my brother who was studying at the campus of Hebrew University at the time. We were part of a delegation of Jewish Americans and Palestinian Americans that traveled together to explore the situation in the West Bank. We had a well-respected rabbi who was in our group. We explored Jerusalem, Nablus, Ramallah, and other cities and towns. As a wide-eyed 7-year-old, I observed things I was delighted to see. However, there was also an event that I witnessed that I was quite saddened to be involved in. While in Bethlehem, my mother, our group of friends, and I were being given a tour of a children's theater for art and nonviolence called Al-Rawad, and suddenly we were tear-gassed arbitrarily by a group of Israeli soldiers. I was incredibly frightened and shocked. I still carry it with me today. I notice now that as we read and witness the news, we imagine that harmful situations that occur will simply evade our proximity. At such a young age, I had my eyes opened in an incredibly clear and real way because I was involved in a moment that I never would have expected to fall upon my mother and I. Now, as a 16-year-old, I reflect on the occurrence and think deeply about it. Without that event, there is a high chance that I may have never become a part of a program focusing on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and finding a sense of peace and finding a solution. I am so grateful to learn, grow, and love each participant in this room, and despite my own negative experience in Bethlehem, I appreciate that it happened. Meeting people from different backgrounds allows me to improve myself and broaden my horizons in terms of understanding people around me. Being in the United States, I am often exposed to biased media and news sources. It has been truly refreshing and enlightening to listen to firsthand stories and my fellow participants' knowledge they offer to the rest of the group. I hope that I can utilize and cherish the skills I obtained during the program as I walk on the path that is life. Once I complete these 3 weeks, I strive to be transformed in a sense that improves the way I listen and understand the people around me. Contrasting opinions allow me to grow, and I truly appreciate the different delegations that are here in this journey we are all embarking on. I love speaking to my fellow participants about their culture and lifestyle and the similarities and differences that are shared amongst us. Upon arriving at Hands of Peace just days ago, I imagined that there would be a division and dialogue sessions between the different delegations and their stances on crucial topics that were to be discussed. However, I was pleased to notice that everyone talked to one another and truly listened to the words each person was speaking. At times throughout the past few days, tensions have risen, which is to be expected and is appreciated so that contrasting interpretations can be gained. I am grateful for the divergent people in the group who enlighten one another and explain their ideas at a deep level. I am truly gratified to be part of this extraordinary experience, and I look forward to seeing the person that I continue to blossom into with my newly acquired perspectives and knowledge. Whether you are an Israeli or Palestinian, in the end, the land does not belong to either group, but Palestinian and Israeli people belong to the land. Thank you to Macomb Solar Lakeside, my parents, my brother, and to the amazing participants I have had the utmost pleasure of continuing to grow closer to. Thank you.
I told you it was a great group. And we'll have plenty of time to, after services, mingle and get to know each other even more. And I encourage you to ask our students about what they've been doing. It's truly, truly remarkable and life-changing, as we've just heard. I mean, I think that's such great evidence that several of your siblings did this program and urged you to do it. What a gift that is. Nothing testifies better than that. So we will continue as we turn towards the conclusion of our service. As we turn to page 282 for the Aleinu, page 282, please rise.
Shalom Samchalkenu Panem, Ve'oranu Bechol Hamonam, V'anachnu Korim, U'mishtachalim U'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, Vayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
Our thoughts turn now to all those who've departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, all those killed in conflict, and all those whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. In our community in particular, we mourn the recent deaths of Kern Abels, of Edie Schenken, Norma Adler, and of James Rosenbaum. And we observe the Yort sites, the anniversary of their deaths this Shabbat. Gladys Arvey, Robert Bernstein, Emma Blankus, Marianne Blashek, Fred J. Bondi, Marion Kogren, Maxine Dicker, Frida Elkin, Milton Epstein, Dorothy Grossman, Mary Herzog Appel, Carol Cohn, Clarabelle Lake, Sherman Levy, Richard Mann, Erwin Marks, Helen Marks, Renata Spiegel. Anyone else have a Yort site or a name they'd like to mention? Thank you. In love and in memory, then, we turn to page 294 for the Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Cottage, page 294. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yoma, Dibrach, Yute, Yamlik, Mapute, Bechayechon, Yomechon, Uchaye, Ekol, Beit Israel, Ba'adallah, Ubizman Kari, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah, Mevorach, Le'olam, Ulamei Amaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitba'ar, V'yitomam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shnei D'Kudisha, V'richu, V'hilam, Minko, Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbachata, V'nechemata, Yamiran, Yama, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama, Rabba, Mishmaya, V'chayim, V'alim, V'yakol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'imroha, V'yaseh Shalom, Alim, V'yakol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. May God, the source of peace, send peace to all of us who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us all say, Amen. May be seated. We have some announcements. We have an announcer. Yay, Brittany. Okay, come on up.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm Brittany Anderson, board member here at the Home Salah Lakeside. On behalf of the board, clergy, and staff, I wanted to wish a huge welcome to all of our guests and prospective members who are with us here tonight. Coming up this weekend, our virtual Shabbat Torah study and morning minyan will be tomorrow morning at 9:15 on Zoom. You can find Zoom links in your Shabbat at Macomb and Macomb at Home email newsletters. Next week in our Shabbat series is beer and bourbon tasting. There's a full list of all of our Shabbat series on the bulletin board in the back and also in your email. There are also other events and information posted on the board, so please be sure to check it out. In an effort to help the Highland Park community, we are doing a blue and white challah dough drive on Thursday, July 28th. 100% of the proceeds will go to Highland Park Community Foundation. Orders need to be placed by July 24th. You can find the link in your email to order. And lastly, this month, we invite you to take action with Tikkun Olam as we are collecting new school supplies for Herzl School of Excellence in Chicago. There's a drop box outside of the main office. Supply list can be found in your email. Again, we wish you a Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. And we have a closing song, and I bet many of our students know this song. It was a big hit back when I was in rabbinical school. It's called Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. You guys know that? Is that still sung in Israel sometimes or in Palestine? Yeah, it's so, okay. So let's all join together, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Right there, it's not in the
page,
book.
but the words are pretty simple. So I think with a couple of repetitions, you should be able to catch on. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ahulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ahulam. Salam.
Well, I want to thank Sari for singing and so proud of her. She grew up in this congregation and the Legacy Lakeside and does such a good job. And our cantor is up at camp with, and so Sari really just did such an outstanding job. Thank you. And I would like to invite all of our students who are under 12, come on up. And you get first dibs at our challah as we do a kid. Oh, yeah, this guy's it. Yes, come on up, buddy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. This concludes our our service, please help yourself to some food, some challah, some treats. Shabbat shalom.